wasn't so great. April 7th, 2009. You know what happened that day? The Detroit City Council voted to order the immediate demolition of this building. And in 2009, that was a very logical decision. We're in the middle of a severe recession. 20,000 people a year were moving out of the city. There was no hope to bring this building to the city back. That's what they thought in 2009. And if you looked at what happened after that vote, the attention of the national media, from the Wall Street Journal to the Los Angeles Times, came in here and wrote about the decline of the train station. TV stations from the BBC to stations in Japan. You had international newspapers came here. El País out of Madrid, the Irish Examiner from Dublin, Le Monde from Paris, all came here and wrote about the train station, and the message in all of them was this: the train station is dead and Detroit is dead. Who would have imagined that within 10 years, this site would be the center of 5,000 new employees coming back to the city and being the center of Ford's strategic direction on mobility? Isn't it remarkable? So to Bill Ford and Jim Hackett and the whole Ford team, I just want to say thank you. It's remarkable what they've done. They've taken the excitement of their vision to make Ford the world leader in mobility, combined it with the energy of Detroit's comeback, and they've done something today that's historic. If you look at major metropolitan cities and areas around the country, they're all driven by vibrant central cities that attract the talent. That's what makes regions great. And what we're seeing now in Detroit is that Detroit is being that kind of economic generator, and I hope it's time we can let the city versus suburb stuff go and everybody recognize when Detroit recovers, it's good for everybody in southeastern Michigan. I would be remiss not to say a thank you to Matt Maroon, who a couple years ago I signed a contract with him that had him put the windows back in the train station and started some momentum, started people seeing possibilities. And late last year, Matt and I had some long and heartfelt conversations about the Ford proposal. But I think the single best phone call I've gotten in my time as mayor was on Christmas Eve, when the phone rang, and it was Matt Maroon saying, "My family and I have talked it over, and we've decided we're going to do what's good for the city." He says, "I'm going to get this deal done and sell the train station to Ford." And thanks to Matt and his family, with the Ford family, this is happening today. I need to say thank you to some overlooked folks, my own team, who since that day of Christmas, Jed Halbert and Matt Walters from the city staff, Kenyatta Bridges and Sarah Pavelko from the DEGC, who've been working with David Dubinsky and Fordland for every day for the last 6 months. And I hope you all get one day off to enjoy this, because this is going to be special. And now, I've got the honor to do something very special. I get to introduce the next speaker, a young woman by the name of Alessandra Carrion, who is a systems analyst at Ford Motor Company. But in the evenings, she's an entrepreneur. She was one of the first Motor City Match winners in the city of Detroit and opened up Pizzaplex just down the street on Verner. So, going forward, she's going to be with her colleagues working in the train station during the day, and then she's going to go down and host them as her customers in her business. A great Ford employee and a great entrepreneur. Please welcome Alessandra Carrion.
My name is Ale Carrion, and I'm an environmental engineer at Ford Motor Company. I decided to join Ford 5 years ago because we share common goals: looking out for our planet, protecting human rights, and taking care of our communities. My team and I at Ford evaluate ways to mitigate the impacts that our vehicles have on the environment. I came to Detroit 6 years ago, and I fell in love with the people of this city. My first job here was as an AmeriCorps volunteer working on the east side with Detroit Public Schools students on their sustainability projects. Even after joining Ford, I committed to stay involved with community. As Mayor Duggan said, I also run a small business, Pizzaplex, a few blocks away in Southwest. Our pledge is not only to make great pizzas, but to offer welcoming spaces, and we encourage our customers to buy forward a pizza or a coffee for anyone who wants to redeem it. By the way, it's at West Verner and Clark, to be precise, in case you're hungry later. But more importantly, to see Ford listen to and work closely with community to continue the story of Michigan Central Station demonstrates a totally new kind of commitment. And so it is my honor, as a proud member of the Ford Motor Company family, to introduce our CEO, Jim Hackett.
You know, Allie moved to Detroit from Seattle. I asked her why. She was inspired to be here to be part of the Renaissance. How cool is that? Now, I'm worried about my hair, not my eyes, but I'm gonna take it. The wind was blowing there, Bill. It's holding now. I get to join Allie and 200,000 plus Ford employees, people that I love, in our family. I'm honored to serve with them, and I think we're in a neighborhood where we're going to be honored to be with the folks from Corktown. But in that group of employees, as I said, I love them all, there's one I particularly admire. This is a man who's had the vision 3 times, in my awareness, to step out on the edge before everyone agreed. He restored the Rouge plant when the world didn't understand that industrial systems could be so sustainable. He spoke at the TED conference in 2011, and he said, if I cut and paste the system my grandfather created, it will kill the world. We have to design a new one. And then he's now had the vision to make this investment to allow me and our colleagues at Ford to prove mobility, to prove how it works. Bill Ford, thank you for what you do. You know, I get up also and look out a window back here in Dearborn, and I see that Rouge complex. It's an amazing sight. And if I look a little further, I can see the Detroit skyline, including the Renaissance Center that Henry Ford II built. And then, of course, believe it or not, you can see this beautiful station. And when you see all that together from my window, you start to see the Ford Motor Company and its future. It's connected in a way that is going to bridge the future of work and the future of mobility. From my window in Dearborn, you can see why the Rouge was an icon of the Industrial Revolution. In fact, I want to build on something that Bill said earlier this morning about it. Henry Ford designed it, young folks might not know this, to integrate everything you needed to build the vehicle. It turned out coal, iron ore, limestone, sand into iron, steel. It made tires and glass. It even generated its own electricity. Henry's workers then built cars. They also built tractors, tank parts, aircraft engines. They were made there. And many of their kids and grandkids followed them on the line, making what Ford is today. Well, if you're me, you've got to see that past, understand where you're going in the future. Because we're living through a new revolution today. A revolution in the artificial intelligence and big data that's going to be even more disruptive than that industrial age was. A whole host of new technologies are redefining what's possible now with mobility. There's a thing called neural networks. It makes these cars so smart that they don't need a driver. New strides in electrical vehicles are started here in Corktown. And the promise of something that Marcy Cleavorn and our team at Ford is building, a transportation mobility cloud. This is going to allow all these things to connect. It's going to help us untangle congestion. It's going to make it easier to get to those Lions games, alleviate pollution, And most importantly, in our soul, we get to give the crowded streets back to the people who live and work here. What Rouge was to Ford in the industrial age, Corktown will be for Ford in the information age. In fact, think of this as a new kind of Rouge, a parallel pathway to build out our business alongside the future of Dearborn. Right here, we have the talent to prepare us for the information age, combined with our century-plus expertise of vehicle development and manufacturing just located 7 miles west of here. And that gives us the powerful combination we need to build the system and services of tomorrow. Our plans for Corktown won't compete or won't replace our campus in Dearborn. Make sure you all hear that. It's actually one whole system. In fact, if anything, it guarantees the future of Dearborn. Our Dearborn redesign and our Corktown revitalization are just steps in the strategy to keep moving forward, to help me see Bill realize this dream, and in the process, to keep us so competitive in every part of our business. Of course, this is great real estate. It's a great investment, but that's not the reason we did it. It helps us fast-track our transformation. The station has good bones. It's in the kind of neighborhood that we know attracts and retains highly skilled and innovative dreamers, makers, creators, entrepreneurs, and the young people behind me up here today. Those are the people we want working in this building. This will be a place the community will enjoy. We're committed to that. This isn't Ford coming and taking over. We live with you. We want to bring every young person, even the aspiring Asia and Ali, into what we do here. This will be the kind of campus where the emerging economy thrives, an ecosystem of companies. We're going to have partners here. Colleges are going to want to connect. Of course, that's going to drive more investment and more innovation. In fact, think of this as a knowledge cathedral. It's a place where new ideas are birthed. You know, I've always believed in the importance of a concept called design thinking. It's about open collaboration. And what you see with a property like this, you can create random, serendipitous interactions. The colleagues then are inspired when the inspiration strikes. That's what this campus is going to cultivate. Corktown to Dearborn, to Ann Arbor, to Detroit, is the linchpin of this Southeast Michigan mobility corridor. I said this morning that Palo Alto, that area, Silicon Valley, is about moving bits. We're about moving people. And it's the latest node in a research network for Ford that runs from California to Germany to China. This can be our Sand Hill Road, this mobility corridor. These streets are going to be the proving ground where you'll find real world challenges. You can't fake in a lab. And we're already testing our autonomous vehicles in cities like Pittsburgh and Miami. And soon, we will build them here at Flat Rock. Ken Williams, a Ford autonomous vehicle engineer, is on the stage with us today. Ken, put your hand up. He's one of many of the folks that are leading the development of those systems for reliable and safe self-driving vehicles. That's a Ford commitment. We're going to make these safe. We're also on track to become a world leader in electrified vehicles in the next few years. We're calling those, help me with this, new propulsion systems, because you're going to have options beyond just an electric vehicle. You'll have hybrid and gasoline that are ever more fuel efficient. They're going to be brought to market by team members like Pat Weber. He's a battery electric vehicle specialist who's now headquartered over here in Corktown. Well, imagine with these new technologies, along with other advancements that will be developed here in Corktown. This is going to give rise to this new transportation, I'll say it slowly, operating system. A transportation operating system. It means all these things in there are connected. It transforms cities with smarter vehicles tied to that smart world that both Bill, the governor, and the mayor talked about. And it's going to benefit people, which is what we just heard Henry Ford pledge. As you can see, the future of Ford Motor Company is here. And we're really proud today to tell you that Detroit and Dearborn give us the best home field advantage in the world. Our investments will make Detroit this mobility capital of the world once again. And I know that someday, Bill's grandchildren, great-grandchildren, he's got one sitting in the, kind of waiting in the aisle here, will look out their window, Alexandra, in Dearborn one day, and they'll see what I saw, that the Rouge meant something to the evolution of the company, and they'll see what Corktown did to further that. And they'll be as proud as I am of what generations of Ford employees did here, as they take us somewhere bold and new. So thank you so much for showing up here today. You've made us very proud. This is such an iconic building that Detroit has such an inspiring story to tell. The History Channel is producing a special documentary film titled Detroit, Comeback City. Take a look.
The Detroit thing's all about surviving,